Space nerds, Alpha 4.9 is in PTU. It is not in Evocati. Everything you're about to hear is actually available to be seen publicly. So you're going to see actual footage on screen if I can find some. And I will get some live footage for this in the next stream. The current focus of this update is, well, two things. First, Siege of Orison, the new thing that's holding up instanced locations. We're going to have 4-player dungeons, it seems, in a way, where you're fighting through urban warfare and taking out some lieutenants, all the way up to a crew commander who has like a nice, heavy, super heavy piece of armor. It's a whole thing, and it sounds like it's pretty fun, but it's definitely different. We're going to cover that here in a second, but also we've got Recco Battaglia, the first mission giver, getting a reboot after 4, 5, 6 years of them not really paying any attention to them. They didn't work because the system was overloaded, and until server meshing was in the game, I don't think they had any plans to bring them back. Now that they are back, they've been working on Recco as the first one to come back over the last 8 months or so, and it seems we've got a pretty nice set of missions that she's going to give us. But let's talk about what's actually new with Evocati. First off, they have been making some different changes to Recco Battaglia and the mission that she offers. Let me actually show you just a little reminder to the people who maybe haven't seen any of the updates on Evocati. The very first patch notes they gave us actually gave us more information on how the Recco Battaglia stuff is working. It says that she'll have some narrative story missions with 3 different chapters, the first of which is available from default, but the next 2 and number 3 are not. At least from what I've heard. They are available once you've gained the reputation needed by repeating contracts that actually Battaglia is offering, which makes it sound like she'll have her own narrative missions, but she'll also be able to give you some basic missions like you could probably get from your Moby-Glass or a mission board. And they say to, well, they lowered the reputation so that everybody can get them in. So maybe round 2 and 3, missions 2 and 3 are available. Again, I haven't gotten to get into the Evocati, unfortunately, because I've been so busy trying to cover the stuff from the outside, looking in weird. All right, let's talk about what came up yesterday. First of all, the Recco Battaglia updates include weapon racks and specific loot configurations in the QV station interiors that are used in her missions. They added loot placement and weapon racks to the Outlaw asteroid base, also included. This is telling us we're getting some new asteroid bases in Nyx. Not sure if it'll just be this one, or maybe there will be more throughout the system. That would be nice, but what's going to be inside of it? Another loot box with 1 shirt. Added a mini map to the Battaglia Outlaw asteroid bases and fixed some missing ledge grab markup on assets in the Outlaw asteroid bases, cargo room, and central hub. That makes it kind of sound like it is similar to the Vandul smuggling mission stations, the very first stations we saw in Nyx, but we'll see. Maybe you've already seen. We've also got instanced Siege of Orison updates. They have replaced generic loot presets with Siege of Orison specific variants. That's nice. I'm guessing the new Ninetales armor. Maybe we find this kind of stuff in loot boxes. This is the boss lineup, so I'm guessing this is the kind of stuff that the lieutenants and the eventual Mendo Ren will be wearing, but it could be in loot boxes. Either way, the loot is getting more specified for the location. That's always great. Checkpoint respawn flow implemented for the mission as well. Implemented fuse box interactables for comms tower nodes. Loot on civilian AI corpses updated to be contextually appropriate. Food and drink rather than knives and ammo. I don't know, man. Maybe you live in Alabama. Further areas on island number 1 should now be more available after a fix to the lever missing inside the comms tower node. So that's just one objective of several in this thing. The idea behind Siege of Orison is you're running a fairly linear squad-based FPS scenario with a little bit of story mixed in, some interesting loot. Mainly this was ultimately launched originally as the first major FPS thing we could get into, not Jump Town that had a lot of spaceship stuff. Siege of Orison originally had some spaceship stuff, but mainly this was focused on giving players a solid narrative FPS experience, and it kind of did that, but it was relatively broken because of the openness of it, because of Star Citizen itself, and now they're coming back at it with an instanced version that I've heard is actually working better. Now, this is the real big update for the latest patches in Evocati: vehicle armor and hit marker feedback. They have now added hit markers for when you're firing on vehicles and you have a shot that gets penetrated, or it penetrates the armor, or it deflects off of it. So players will see distinct markers to indicate whether a shot hit the shields, impacted the hull, penetrated the armor, destroyed an internal component, or was deflected entirely. Generally, from what I've seen, when the deflection happens, you get a little like cancel symbol, like a literal red circle with a thing through it, just saying no, can't do that, that's not doing anything. Internal component destruction, I believe, is a, I want to say double crosshatch, or maybe that just means hitting internal components is a double crosshatch. Armor penetration, I believe, is a blue hit. Hull hits are a single crosshatch, and shield hits are like a blue circle maybe. I've probably butchered that, but the idea is you're getting better feedback on what you're actually doing to the ship you're shooting at. This is the kind of thing that Star Citizen needs in spades. This was what was hurting it so much before we got the UI pop-ups on interactions, you know, when you're looking at things and it actually pops up and shows you can use the F key to interact with it. We didn't have that for like a decade. And I think that made it really hard for players to understand not just what they could work with, but also what they couldn't. And this game has always been terrible about telling people where like your limitations are. So I think this is a really good change, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it affects people's understanding for combat, for shields, for hull armor, all that kind of stuff. This is a good change. There's still plenty of balancing that needs to be done on that part with armor and hull and shields and all that kind of stuff. But hey, positive change and all that kind of stuff. They also said the hit marker state for component and ship destruction is not yet fully implemented and will be addressed in a follow-up patch. All right, so that was yesterday. Let's move on to today. We got missile cargo grid visuals and ship servicing improvements. Okay, this is one of the things that was still on the roadmap, but we hadn't seen in Evocati yet. So this is another major feature added to the 4.9 PTU cycle. Ordnance cargo holder. Basically just dedicates storage frames for missiles, torpedoes, and bombs. As we could see in the patch notes today, they say missiles, torpedoes placed on a cargo grid will now display a bounding box around them, giving a clearer visual reference for the space each missile occupies. This frame is visible anywhere a cargo grid is present, including ship interiors and freight elevators. When snapping a missile into position, both the missile and its frame are now shown in the holographic view. Or in the hologram preview, and players can choose the snapping direction during placement. Additionally, capital ships no longer need their pivot point fully inside a servicing zone to access hangar services. So you could just have a piece of a capital ship hanging over a servicing zone. Any portion of the ship overlapping the zone is now sufficient. Just a pinky toe out the back. This is a good change, but it's also kind of a little annoying. It would be really nice if this was an actual change to how we could store these things together. I would love to see these be able to be combined so you could put multiple missiles together and carry them all as one. This is a great first step, but I do wish that they had said something about like, hey, we're trying to get them to, you know, combine together so you can transport them in the future. Nothing about that yet here. But maybe that is how it'll go. Either way, it's nice that we're going to have a better way of being able to snap them to the grid than just like the freestanding missiles and guns, which have looked awful at times. And I'm looking forward to how this improves another quality of life part of the game. I think it's fine that a lot of 4.9 is looking kind of quality of life. These are meaningful features, but very quality of life. And I think that's good because they really need to focus on just making sure that whatever happened with 4.8 does not happen again. And smooth things over, have a clean release in July, get people's confidence back, start that long climb again with the goodwill, and you know, maybe they'll make a good recovery by August. But I do think that this is their chance to focus on making a solid patch rather than making forward progress, because they kind of sacrificed that with the 4.8 thing. Either way, vehicle hit marker updates, you got a little bit of updates here, some polish and updates for hitting components, bug fixes, and technical stuff. A possible wave 1's coming in, but this is really all we know about Evocati so far. I hope you enjoyed this information. Not sure if we'll get any more on Saturday, but I will update you when we're back on Monday. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you in the next.